back to my channel. Today I am testing out the new foundation from Anastasia Beverly Hills. It just launched today at Ulta and on the Anastasia Beverly Hills website. I took a trip to Ulta this morning and I did some shade swatches and I found my right shade. I picked up the foundation. And in this video, I'm going to wear it for 2 days. Normally, you guys know I like to wear my foundations for 3 or 4 days, but there's so many new foundations that I need to get to. So I think my plan is I'm going to do 2-day wear tests, test out all these new foundations, and at the end, I'm going to do like a final video, kind of, my breakdown after wearing them, each foundation for several days, kind of give you updates. So that's kind of how I'm going to do this. I just recently reviewed the Pat McGrath foundation, and I will link that video up here in the iCard so you guys can check that out. So this new foundation from Anastasia Beverly Hills is exactly what I'm looking for in a foundation. I just turned 40. I have dry normal skin. Right now I'm more normal because it's during the summer. I'm more dry in the winter. I like that more luminous, radiant type of foundation. I like a decent medium coverage, and I don't like it to be thick and heavy. I can't wear super matte foundations just because, again, with dry normal skin and being 40, it's really hard for me to wear really matte foundations. This foundation retails for $38, and like I said, you can get it on the Anastasia Beverly Hills website or you can get it at Ulta. And it is called Luminous Foundation. This foundation is also fragrance-free, alcohol-free, gluten-free, vegan. It is suitable for sensitive skin, and it's claiming to be long-wearing. It is 30 mils, 1 fluid ounce. The description on this foundation, it says it's a water-resistant liquid foundation that creates a luminous natural finish. The radiant formula delivers long-wearing, medium coverage, yet still feels weightless and looks ultra-fresh. This is the coverage you have been waiting for. Luminous foundation looks so great on its own. There's no need to set it with powder. This lightweight foundation blurs any imperfections, including discolorations and unevenness, without caking or masking the skin's natural radiance. With a seamless application, this easy to blend face makeup leaves the skin with a perfected look complexion that is free of flashbacks and oxidation. So you can get a brush for $10 if you order this from the Anastasia Beverly Hills website. I recommend going into your local Ulta, call first, see if they have it in stock, and go there and look for your shade. This foundation has 50 shades. I chose the shade 355N. They did an equal amount of foundation shades in every skin tone. So they have fair, light, medium, tan, and deep. So right now I am a medium with like a golden undertone. For your reference, in the description box down below, I will leave some foundations that I wear and what shade I wear in that foundation, just so that you can use that as a reference. Up here on the screen, you will see pictures of the shades that I swatched. Now, in the local Ulta that I was in, they didn't have every shade in that medium category. There was some missing shades that won't be delivered until later on this week, but I wanted to swatch them for you so you could see maybe what the undertone looks like. I also took a picture with the flash so you guys could see what it looks like with the flash, and also what it looks like dried. So I know that some foundations can oxidize, but this one claims not to. The shades are a little bit interesting. So if you look on the Anastasia Beverly Hills website and you look at, so I'm just going to go in the medium category. That's where my skin shade range is. Let's try 350C. So that is described as a medium skin with a golden undertone. The C is normally and typically stands for cool toned, but it's described as a golden undertone. So it seems like some of the foundation shades, they kind of mixed. So even though you might be golden, they mixed a little bit of cool in there, and so they put the C next to it to let you know that there are some cool undertones in there. I'm not exactly sure what the deal is with that, but I did want to point it out to you guys. I definitely recommend going into the store and shade matching. And every time I go into Ulta, shade matching is so hard because the lights are so ridiculous. And I will also mention, if you see all these little brown spots all up around my face. So I just had an IPL treatment, like here's a piece right here. I just had an IPL treatment done last Thursday. So today, right now when I'm filming this, today is Sunday. So I had an IPL treatment done on Thursday, and it was a laser. So what it does is it brings up your hyperpigmentation to the surface. And so it's a little bit dark and a little bit weird right now, but I don't have any dry skin or anything like that. My face isn't peeling, so it hasn't really affected my skin to the point where I'm not able to test out foundation. The only thing that's changed on my skin since the laser treatment is those dark brown spots. So I do want to mention that that's what those brown spots are, but that has not affected the way that my foundation has performed and wore throughout the day. So today is Sunday. I applied this around 12:30. I'm going to wear this throughout the rest of the day today. I'm going to try to wear it for 10 or 12 hours today. Tomorrow, I am definitely going to wear it for 12 to 14 hours to really see how good it lasts. So right here, I'm going to show you guys the oxidation on the foundation. So I put a swatch here on my hand a little bit ago. Like, you can't really see it because it blended right into my skin. So here is the swatch of a fresh swatch right here, and this is a swatch that is dried. So they're not exactly the same, but I wouldn't say that this foundation oxidizes all that much. Maybe a teeny bit, but not that much. So that's what we're playing with today. I am super excited. I love testing out new foundations, and I am excited with all of the new foundation launches. So without further ado, let's jump right into the application portion of the video, and I will see you guys in my first check-in. Okay, so I just got back from Ulta. It's about noontime, and I am going to apply this foundation. I'm going to try to wear it for, I don't know, 10 to 12 hours. Sometimes I don't get done with my day until past midnight, so we'll see. I'm going to wear it for as long as I can. So half of the face I'm going to apply with a brush, and half the face I'm going to do with a sponge, just to see which method is the best. Also, I've already applied my Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. So I had an IPL treatment done on Thursday, and it's just a laser that goes down and lifts the hyperpigmentation to the surface. So as you can see, that's what all these little like brown dots are. I'm going to go ahead and go in with the sponge and just kind of start pressing this in. Now, my preferred method of applying foundation is I like to apply it with a brush and then smooth it out with a sponge if I need to, but I don't really like applying my foundation fully with a sponge because it soaks up so much of it. So I've already used quite a bit of that. This is just a nice like even layer, but my sponge soaked up all of that pump. So that's kind of the problem with using a sponge, you know, to apply. But some foundations just look better with a sponge only, you know, and I know a lot of you out there prefer applying only with a sponge. That's one layer with one pump using the sponge. And I feel like this is pretty decent coverage. I'm gonna have to use another pump because I used that entire pump on that sponge. So I've got another pump here, and I'm gonna go ahead and use a brush. And obviously we know you can get better coverage with a brush, and you know, that's kind of like the rule of thumb, and you don't use as much product when you use a brush. And then, like I said, I like to go over it with a sponge just to kind of give it that sponge finish, but you know, we all have different ways of applying our products, and that's just mine. So it blends out much quicker too with a brush. And this is a really silky product. Like, this is a nice foundation. So I don't really have any brush marks, but I'm gonna go over it with the sponge just to make sure. Okay, so this is the sponge side and this is the brush side. And I like this foundation. I like the way it looks. I do feel like this undertone is a little bit yellow, so be mindful of the undertones. You know, they're pretty strong, but this one is a neutral. The undertones are strong in this foundation, I would say. Like, this is a neutral golden, and I would say that this is pretty yellow. So be mindful of that, and you know, this might be a foundation that you're gonna wanna go in store. So let's see how far we can build up coverage with this. So I have some here on the back of my hand. I'm gonna take this end of the brush and I'm gonna go over these spots right here and kind of blend them out with my finger just to see if we're able to spot conceal with the foundation. Sometimes I prefer spot concealing with my foundation more so than using, you know, like a concealer. But again, you can see, personally, I feel like this side looks better than this side as far as coverage wise. If you use a brush, you're going to get a good medium coverage. If you use a sponge, you're going to get a light medium coverage. Okay, so let's turn off the ring light. Okay, so I've turned off the ring light. This is just more natural lighting. I'm sitting in front of a window. I have two umbrella lights sitting in the corner, but it's not direct sunlight. So this is just definitely more in room natural lighting. And I always like to do that so you guys can see, because sometimes the ring light will make it look different than it really does in real life. So I feel like it's important to kind of turn off the ring light, but this looks really pretty. Very luminous, very hydrating, but not dewy. It's not slipping and sliding all over my face. It looks dewy, it looks luminous, but it kind of sets down. That's kind of the vibes that this is giving me. It looks really pretty. It's just a really strong undertone, which is why I struggled at trying to find my right shade. So that's it for this application portion of the video. I will see you guys in my first check-in. Okay, so I'm back for my midday check-in. This is day 2 of me wearing this foundation. Yesterday it wore beautifully, like beautifully. The thing that I will say that I've noticed is that at first I thought that the shade was perfect. But upon kind of going outside, and you know how being outside is like the tell-all of what your foundation looks like, this is a little bit too warm for me, which I'm surprised because it is a neutral shade. So I don't know that I would recommend ordering this online. Like, I'm just going to put that out there before my final thoughts on this. If you were going to buy this foundation, I would go into Ulta and shade match. So you can kind of see, like, in the sunlight, you can see where my foundation is sitting on my neck, like as I blended it down. So I think that would probably be my negative at this point. What I'm seeing with the foundation is that it definitely has really strong undertones. So just be mindful of that when you're ordering the shade. It's 4:20 right now, and I applied this right between like 8 and 8:30 in the morning. So, you know, I've had it on for about 8 hours. Now today I did put a little bit of my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Powder, and as you guys know, I don't apply a lot of setting powder. I don't apply a lot of finishing powder. I do use this just here in the T-zone to kind of just calm everything down, but I don't put a lot on, so I do want to make that clear. I did put a little bit of powder on today. I don't put a ton on, if that makes sense. So as you'll see, my skin does have a natural radiance to it, and I did not use, you know, many of you guys that watch me, you know that I like to use my Hourglass Ambient Lighting Palette like every day, just to kind of put over my face, just to kind of make it a little more radiant. These just work really well for that, but I didn't do that on this foundation because I don't really feel like I need to. I think with this foundation, you might get to the point where it's too much radiance. This is that type of foundation where it might get a little bit too radiant, but I think this is a beautiful foundation. I love the coverage. It wore really good yesterday. I was able to wear it for about 10 hours. So we'll see how it wears tonight. I put it on around 8 o'clock this morning. So as you guys know, I like to wear my foundations for as long as I possibly can. Okay, so this is what it's looking like with the ring light on first, and then I'll shut off the ring light. But as you can tell, the shade is just, it does have a yellow cast to it. I think I might try to maybe get a different shade, but this looks so radiant, and it just really has a nice radiance to it, which is really, really impressive to me. I love it. So far, I love it. Okay, so this is without the ring light. I'm just sitting in front of a window. It's not direct sunlight, but I have 2 umbrella lights sitting in the corner and then just the room lights. So I like to do this just because the ring light can be a little deceptive. So turning it completely off and giving you guys a little bit better of a view is so much better. It's a little bit more realistic. So as you can see, it looks pretty good around my wrinkles. This is one that I've noticed that does like to settle, but it doesn't settle to a point where it's mask-like. You know, it does settle a little bit, but not bad. And I love this. So far, I love it. And, you know, we'll see what it does tonight. So hang tight and I will see you guys in my final thoughts. Okay everyone, I am back for my final thoughts on the foundation. It is currently 12 o'clock. So it's been on for almost like 16 hours. So it's been on for a really long time and I wanted to get down here quicker. The night just kind of got away from me. I've had a ton of stuff to do and my son is packing up to leave for college on Friday. So it's been a really, really busy day and just a busy week overall. So I apologize for not getting down here at the 12-hour mark. So again, this is 16 hours. And let me just say this, I can classify this as a long-wearing foundation. Yes, my matte foundation's looking a little bit of a mess, but it's been 16 hours. I mean, that's a really, really long time to wear foundation. So I am gonna pull you guys in so you guys can see it. Of course, I've lost some coverage, but the thing that I like about this foundation is it wears off very naturally. So before I get into all my final thoughts, let's pull you guys in so you guys can see what this looks like. I just turned off the ring light, so I just have room light on with 2 umbrella lights in the corner. So this is just what it looks like in more natural lighting. You can see the foundations broke apart a little bit right here between my eyebrows, but it's faded off much more natural than the Pat McGrath one. There are some differences with the way that this foundation breaks down versus the Pat McGrath. Okay, so my final thoughts are I love this foundation. I think it's absolutely beautiful and I feel like Anastasia Beverly Hills knocked it out of the ballpark when they created this foundation. I mean, it's exactly what I want. There are a few negatives, which I will get into that, but the positives is just really long wearing. It's so beautiful, like it's so radiant. And it just makes my skin look so healthy and beautiful and just like a natural glow, which is what I love and that's what I look for in a foundation. I don't want my foundation to be a mask. I want my foundation to enhance my natural features, just kind of make me look better, but not completely different, you know? Like I want it to just enhance my skin. And this wears off very naturally. It doesn't break apart and pull apart. So, you know, when I wore the Pat McGrath foundation, it just separates, like, and you'll just have like patches missing. Like I had a big chunk of foundation just missing here, and like this entire thing just completely broke apart. And don't get me wrong, my foundation breaks apart right here. Like that's where it's gonna break apart. But this one just kind of naturally does it. It doesn't look like you're missing like foundation. Like when I wore the Pat McGrath, it was like I went like this and I just made like a fingernail mark because it gets really oily and kind of just like clumps together and then just pulls away from the skin. This one doesn't. This one wears off very naturally. This one reminds me of the Givenchy Everwear foundation. The only difference is the Everwear is not as radiant. So this one is a lot like this one as far as like the finish and the way that it wears, the way that it applies. The difference is this has the radiance that this one doesn't. This one is more of like a satin matte finish and this one is definitely more radiant. So I would say that these are very comparable. I would also say that it's very comparable to the Born to Glow. I've been talking about this. This was in my July favorites. I just spoke about it in the Pat McGrath video. I think this one is a really nice one. And I would say that this is a very similar formula. The thing that I like about this one is it doesn't have a fragrance at all whatsoever. The thing that I like about this the most is it sets down. So it only stays tacky for about, I don't know, 5 minutes. And then it's pretty set down. And then it stays that way throughout the rest of the day. So that's the thing that I like about this foundation, is it gives you the radiance, it gives you the dewy, radiant look, but it sets down on the skin. I do believe that most skin types would like this. I do feel like if you're oily skin, you already have the natural radiance. So I don't know that you would love this just because you already, you know, most people who are oily skinned, they like more of a mattifying finish. But if you're oily skin and you like a more radiant foundation, I think this is a good one to try, because I do think that if you set it down with some nice powders, I feel like it would control your oils, because it does set down. It doesn't pull away from the skin. It doesn't kind of ball up and pull away. I think it would be amazing for sensitive skin, dry skin, normal skin, combo skin, like I said, oily skin, if you are looking for something that is a radiant finish. The only downfalls with this, in my opinion, are the shades. They have such a strong undertone, and I noticed that when I was at Ulta, the girl was kind of helping me trying to choose my shade. Don't get me wrong, there were a few missing in the medium category, but she was like, dang, these undertones are strong, and she noticed it right away. I had just put it out on the floor, and so most of the foundations that we were, you know, pumping out and putting on my arm, they hadn't even been swatched. And so that was the first thing that she noticed. That was the first thing I noticed. The undertones are very, very strong. So I think it's going to be tricky for those of you who have to order your foundation online. I think it's going to be tricky for you because these are strong undertones. And even though this is a medium with a neutral golden undertone, this is very, very yellow. And you know, when I thought to be neutral, I thought it would be a mixture between neutral and a little bit of yellow, you know, with a little golden, but that's not the way it is. This is almost like, I don't see any neutral in this one at all. I think it's just a toned down, warm version, you know. So normally I buy my foundations with a medium with like a golden undertone, but with this one, I am so glad that I didn't do that, because I think the golden would have been really golden. Like, I think the neutral kind of balanced it out to where it wasn't so golden. But just be mindful of that these shades are exceptionally warm. Now, I can't speak about the cool tones because I'm not real familiar with cool tones. But for me personally, being that I am pretty familiar with warm, this is definitely loaded with a lot of golden, like yellow based undertones. So just keep that in mind when you are ordering your shade. I would definitely recommend going in store to try to find your right shade. So the other thing that I would say about this is, because it has such a radiant finish, if you have enlarged pores, this might be one that might be tricky for you. You might want to put some kind of, you know, pore filling primer, which you probably do already, but I would make sure that you put it on with this, because as you all know, with a radiant foundation, it is going to dramatize any of the pores that you have, make them look and appear to be even larger than they are. So just be mindful of that. Yes, it does settle into fine lines, but it does it in a very subtle way. So be mindful of that. If you do have, you know, some thicker fine lines, be careful when you're going over it. Kind of, you know, really go over that spot with like a part of the sponge that doesn't have any foundation on and pick up any extra, because this one does have a tendency to settle into the fine lines, but in such a beautiful way, you don't even really care. On a scale from 1 to 5, I'm giving this foundation like a 5. I love it. In fact, I think it might be one of my new top favorite foundations. So that's it for my review on this foundation. I love it. It is amazing. They knocked it out of the ballpark. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Thank you guys for all the love that you guys show me and this channel. It means the world to me. I will see you guys in my next video. Love you. Bye.